Our next speaker brings us the benefits of an international renown in GI, Geographical Information Systems. He's founder and CEO of the Geodan Group, one of Europe's biggest companies in the sector, and is also Professor of Spatial Informatics at the Free University in Amsterdam. Please welcome Professor Henk Scholten.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for being here. For me, it's a real pleasure. When I arrived here yesterday, some people came to me and we were shaking hands like a big reunion, and they were telling me it was 20 years ago that we started with our EGS conference in Amsterdam. So that gives you all kinds of feelings, and especially when you're allowed to talk on the panel this morning. It's dangerous to talk about innovation, as we just heard, being, let's say, experts or paleogeographers, as they are calling us here in the UK. So what I think is something we have to do. I think we as, let's say, professional geographers or GIS experts, we have to put a list together of all our successes. Because we are already in this innovation field for many years, and we have done already a lot. And what I like to discuss with you is one of our, let's say, latest or last successes, which is related to disaster management. And it's clear that in the early, let's say, years of the 2000s, a lot of you were involved already in disaster management. We were making risk maps. One of us became, let's say, responsible for disaster management money within the EU. And I can give many examples. But what happened? Yesterday I had a meeting with a wonderful lady, which I know very well because she was one of my PhD students. And based on the discussions of what was happening that day, she made a quote, "Streets do not move," which is an important quote, so please remember it. It's related, of course, to our discussion of disaster management, because disaster management asks for dynamic information. Every second you win can save lives. So I like to discuss with you the role of Inspire in disaster management. I can go into detail regarding what a disaster means, about the fact that it's unexpected, that many parties are involved, that the information sharing is crucial between all these parties and between countries. And without any discussion, it's always location which matters. It's not just, let's say, the response phase. It's the whole safety chain where you have to be involved. When I was discussing with people from the Ministry of Defense, they gave me also a quote. And that was fight as you train and train as you fight. So that means you have to be an expert in disaster management, not at the moment that you need a response phase, but it has to be there on the daily phase. What's the situation of today? At the moment we have a crisis, there's a huge demand within the chaotic phase for information. And this is the current situation. We don't have that information, and we are making many mistakes regarding, let's say, solving problems. This is what we want to have, the desired solution. That we have information at the right moment shared by the right people, and not just in the chaotic phase, but it has to be there at every moment. So information requirements during a disaster means that all actors must have the same common operational picture. And it has to be there within a second. And I think that it's clear that spatial information can play a crucial role when you have to communicate fast and you have to do it precise. The challenges is, of course, that sharing of data. How do I get access to data when I'm in the Netherlands, or when I'm somewhere on the border of the Netherlands and Germany, or, it doesn't matter what, because it's still one of the most difficult things to get access to all these governmental and private data. I think from an innovation point, it's clear that discussing a common operational picture is not that easy. So what does it mean? What does it mean? What kind of symbols, what kind of concepts are behind such a common operational picture? Because it has to work every second. Another important aspect of innovation is what we call net-centric working. So not any longer the hierarchical method, but the way we also download our movies. I'd like to take a second for telling you that there is a wonderful report which was paid by the National Research Council in the United States based on 2 extreme disasters, the Twin Towers and Katrina. And all the GIS people came together and they have written this book as a proposal for improving the law on disaster management. When there is a disaster, we have to guide people and to tell them that they have to use spatial information. It's part of the modeling, so the flood simulation, as we just heard, it can also be forest fires, earthquakes. We are the experts in modeling this kind of processes. And of course, it's still integration, visualization, and participation. So that report is available for everybody interested. I'm not going to discuss the net-centric architecture, the peer-to-peer technology. It's there, it works, and it will help us by sharing information. I'm also not going to discuss the different ways how we are going to work and the tools we're going to use, because there are now so many tools. I mean, we just heard another presentation about all these tooling, but you have them in your pocket, I'm sure. Everybody has a sensor, everybody is using this kind of communication tooling. It's something new that the crowd becomes involved. And there are wonderful examples like Ushahidi, who brings us, let's say, all kinds of contributions from the community in Haiti and now in Japan. A dream came true. I'm very proud that the Dutch government took the decision a couple of months ago that their disaster management system will be completely based on geo-information. It's the first country in the world that took that decision. And it will not be easy to implement it. Innovation is one word, but implementing takes at least the same amount of energy, the same amount of money, etc. So how do we get all these firemen, civil servants, operational in a geo environment? And how are we sure that the data will be available? And it is, of course, not something for the Netherlands, because a disaster is not, let's say, stopped by a border. I give you another example, because I think we are already lucky in Europe that we have so many data sets available. We had the possibility, we had the request to go to Pakistan, because in Pakistan we had a real disaster. And it was an unbelievable big one. So when we came there, we saw that a huge amount of people were immediately affected. And we are talking about urgent relief. We are talking about the loss of dwellings, the loss of schools, in a huge area which you project. When you project it on Europe, then it's more or less the Inspire region. We had a team in Amsterdam, we had a team in Lahore. Our biggest question, how do we get access to data? Because data is not organized in Pakistan or in a lot of other countries. And then we are also aware that we have to train people, that we have to be, let's say, clever in doing it as fast as possible. So we gave them a diploma. And of course, it's not a diploma, it's the fact that they have to be proud on becoming geo-experts and that they are able to answer the questions which are related to disaster management. At the moment, it's there. So I'm convinced, and based on several academic studies, we could even prove that sharing geographic information in a net-centric environment leads to better situational awareness. It all starts with that. It is really improving communication. And based on that improved communication, we have better collaboration and the synchronization of actions. So the better and faster decision making is, let's say, a result of our innovations, but now it becomes implementations. So for me, there's no discussion that we need to be prepared. That means that we need experts. GIS looks like something simple which runs on your iPhone or your iPad. At the moment we are discussing this kind of processes, it's bloody serious. And these people need to be educated in geo-information. They have to think spatially. And that's something special. So let's not deny it, but let's be prepared and let's try to work together on that. But, and that's the reason we are together here, we need an information infrastructure. And that sounds simple, and especially when I think it's 20 years ago that we had our GIS conference in Amsterdam, the first European one, but we are still discussing it. So we need the law, we need the, let's say, regulations, but the most important thing, we need the operability, that we are ready to share our data and that we will be successful. Thank you very much.